Hello and welcome. The date is 29th of June 2018. It's a Friday, a little after 1900 hours Eastern Time, or 7:20 p.m. And let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. And like always, all investments, bets, however you want to talk about it, whichever noun term you want to give, it's your own risk, own reward. Always should be. So no matter where you get the information, whether it's from here or any other sources, you're deciding yourself how you want to place your bets or how you want to hold your portfolio, and where you want to buy, where you want to sell, all that type of jazz. And for me, risk reward management, portfolio management, always job number one. 3-day time frame. If this doesn't go down anymore and it's the bottom, I would state that this would I've ended up having a 23.6% correction, 3 times hit. And of course, it's going to have to, and I'm not going to draw a straight line, but get above this trend line. It has to resume the bull market. It's got a long ways to go, of course, but I'll just basically be stating, yeah, it was a descending triangle. It was able to hold support, and then it would make some sort of nice pattern getting above and so on, yada, yada, yada. But there's going to be, who knows how big these massive moves can entail when they come into place. That's why when I look at the $3,000 support level, it wouldn't surprise me if it fell many percentage points, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 percentage points in a very quick period of time, if it so chooses to desire to do so. And during this indecision type of mode that I've been stating we've been in, and the indecision is that, what are we going to do next? Are we going to resume this bull market, or are we going to have a decent leg lower and thus a ultimate move? Because the first decline tested the support level of 6,000. That was back at the start of February. We're almost 5 months later after the fact, and we're still trying to solve that situation, because since that point you had your normal lower high rally, and since that point it really hasn't broken. Clearly, that is, either the resistance or the support. So it's in that range. And I can really draw in two situations: in the straight line, which won't be straight. You got the trend line. So there's a lot of areas it needs to get above still at this stage to have resumption of the bull market. And the largeness of a rally that can occur, and you'd still be unsure, at least I'd be unsure, if it's a bear market rally or reversal, could be quite high. Because even if we had a quick move, even up to around here, 9,000, that would be a gain of close to 50%, and over that from where we've bottomed today. And yet that wouldn't take us out of the woods of ending the bear market. Overall, you could say that that's what this game has, is big volatility. And when we see this on the short-term time frame today, using the 60-minute, it's had a nice little up move. Where the start of this, it was below 6,000. At the top of this hour, it was pretty much 6,300. So that's a differential of about close to 400 basis points just from this point. That's fantastic movements. And it's not quite 10%, but that's what I expect to happen in the crypto market, especially the Bitcoin. I've talked a lot about the U's and V's, the fast moves up and down, so it continues to work in. And if you have no idea that this rally was going to take place, then your sell orders could come in place, or they'd be ready to go. And if you've been doing this for the last little while, all these up and down movements have been able to get a little bit of profits along the way. Now, in this case, there really was opportunity, and you would have had to see it on the 1-minute time frame, or shorter than the 15, to catch it. Although on this one, we can see that there was glimmers of hope. Of course, I'm waiting for confirmation of break of key resistance, because right off the bat, this is resistance. It was the place it went up to here, and then it was the second top hit. First, you would have put the line here. Then this goes on, you hit here, and then you start to fight like, okay, no, resistance is here. Although, you can put in 2 lines. The lower line is the area it tested more frequently, but this became a bigger level after 6 o'clock this morning. So therefore, let's take a look at this on the 1 minute time frame. But before we do, like I stated, there's a little bit that was indicating a run, or at least a time where, hey, this is possibly going to do well. Because if we do this type of formation, you start to see that happy face. So in these movements in here, it wasn't, it was looking pretty good. But how about the point? I want to see it get above established resistance. And could you have caught in this move? It would have been very, very hard. But if you look at this on the 1 minute, this is a very interesting situation. And if I was paying attention at that time to the market, I probably would have went long on whatever. Because I was thinking earlier today, man, maybe I should put a day trade in. I've done one in the last little while and I lost 2%. I'm glad I got out when I did because of the danger of day trading a bear market. But this was the key level of resistance here. And this was the upper end, which meant there was 4 minutes available for you to be like, okay, you have all of this time in here to be able to go long, realizing if you were waiting for the situation of, I need to see the momentum and things move out, but I want the resistance to break, but I don't want to don't want to pay for a big price, because even though it would have worked out, when you start to see the markets up here, it becomes a very scary situation to become a buyer, because this was well overextended at itself at 6,088. But here we sit at 6,250, a little bit $50 below the high. And yeah, just basically wanted to point out that I found this play in here very, very interesting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a list of my watch list, or all the different codes that I have. And for the first little bit, I'm going to have to keep it together. But the way I can sort this chronologically. I can sort this by percentage change. And what's on PayPal? Yeah, I know that because I've had like 3 sell orders fill recently. It's up 33%. And THC, I've had a sell order hit too as well. What's down really the most? Okay, so 7% down for Florin. Oh, the TUSD is down. How is that a surprise? And so on and so forth. But what I like about this, I've got actual price. That's a good sort for me, because on the top I got the Dow. I mean 24,000. But what I like about this is all the non things against Bitcoin, which is 0.00 this and 0.00 that, or major decimals against Bitcoin. I got Bitcoin here, 3 different exchanges. I got gold against the Canadian dollar, gold against the US dollar. What the heck is that? Is odd. So gold against the Canadian dollar ended in a major downtrend. I'm going to have to look more into this later on. I don't got the... That's odd. Anyway, Bitcoin against the US dollar. It had its similar kind of move as well. Ethereum against the dollar. Ooh, same thing. How about Dash? Yep. Just out of curiosity, the dollar index is going down. Litecoin against the US dollar. $80. Look at the move. You go from like 73 to 80. Now, I said Bitcoin couldn't do 10%. Oh, but this one did. Dash, of course, from, well, its bottom, 215 to 243. We got Neo against, in this situation, it's doing okay. Okay, now what's the difference between gold and silver on the Canadian? This is silver against the Canadian dollar and silver against the US dollar. Very, very interesting. Anyway, Ethereum Classic against the US dollar. Nice little move. They're all going up and down together. Binance Coin, same thing. Qtum, same thing. EOS. What else do we got? We got CMT, Ven, ICX. That's a beautiful move, but so it's generally safe for the most part to assume that if the Bitcoin market is going to go up, that all the other ones are going to go up. And if they're all going to go down, they're going to go up and down together, as we are seeing it like this. Cardano, it's in the same vote as well. Tron, not doing quite as well. So what's Tron look like, say, against the Bitcoin index? Well, about the same for the most part. It's just it took a larger hit showed by this move down here. Just out of curiosity, something like a red coin. Let's put this. Interesting. Okay. Let's just talk about this while we can. Let's place a horizontal ray in somewhere in a not so random spot. This was the original support from this retracement. Makes this high, comes back to it. And now it's having yet test number 4. Because you have 1, 2, 3, and now 4. And you could even have a 5th test and make a decent rally for another lower high. We take a look at this, say, on a 3-day time frame. Very interesting. And I know it's been in this because I've seen this before. This doesn't do the right justification given the fact that this is against small numbers. So the log scale, this is practically a linear scale chart, but trend lines just don't work. We can still see the low, the low, the low. It did make a lower high, excuse me, higher low rather. A lot of beautiful trading when you look at this. Get your quick scalp to sell, and then everything that you sold from, like, depending on your volatility, from this point higher was bought back in here. Sell it all back again. Buy it all back. Sell a small amount. Buy that back. Sell that small amount again, and barely buy back. Meaning, you barely buy back because it's made a nice higher low from here to here, if that's going to be the case. Now, I've already shown on the daily chart that it's definitely got some reason for caution that this level of support may break down and thus test some support at its previous support level at around 50, 53 area. But getting above this level here, it can do some damage. But like all of the cryptocurrencies, when they're ready to go, you're going to get moves like this. And that's just a fantastic part for myself, that they actually do stuff like that. Monstrous gains. In this case, you go from like 16 to like 200. That is magnificent. I'm not going to talk much more about this. Let's just I'll take a look at a couple more. Let's do a 10x pay token. This is one that I've had 2 sell orders hit today, and I think three sell orders hit. And look at what much it's gotten back. 2 days, maybe even really 3 for that matter, or under 3. It has got back the amount that it lost since, like, well, we'll say since June the 4th. So June the 4th to June the 27th is 23 days. So the amount this lost in 23 days, it got back in 3. That's almost 8 times, or maybe even a little over 8 times faster when we include what time, of course, this bottomed at. But the end of the day is almost here, given the fact that it's 7:40 or 7:34 Eastern time. I think this closes at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So then, where would be the first place we would have expected a level of resistance? And I pretty much think it's where we are. Well, we had this level of support originally. I'll put the line there. And that level of support matches the level here. So this is a big, big situation. It's a selling spot. But to me, there's really only 2 things that can occur in here. One, you resist that area, because that's the general rule, or not rule, but way that I see when you break a key level and you're having a leg higher or lower depending on the bull or bear market, is you break a key level, then you go back to it, and then you end up taking it out, which would be something like this. And then maybe later on, after a big decline, you may have a more longer term correctionary move like that. And there's your resistance. That normally happens in those types of spots. And if you're selling at that spot, well, that would work out well. But even on a bullish level, it's okay to sell it off. Because, I mean, let me just put this onto the daily chart, reset the scale. Because bullishly, what we'd be looking at is Fibonacci from here to here, or can it correct and hold? This 18 average is going to be rising in this area. That's always the spot that I'm going to be looking for as the area for support. So on a bullish level, that means it could come back down in any type of form and beat up in here, and then maybe do something like that and take it out. And selling here works out if, of course, you're able to get your buyback. However, if you don't get resistance and support too at areas where you're supposed to, especially major levels, and this is one of them, and then you usually have a fast move to the next level. Where would I draw that line in? Let's again move this back to the 3. Let's get another horizontal line. And I'm not using Fibonacci, I'm just going by the look. We got this little first level of key support, which happened to be the resistance on this candle on May 16th. This little move here. So that would be an area where it could go to, and going from 12 to 23, that's pretty much close to double. You can also, I'm going to remove this drawing tools and reinsert the line at 12.15 area. Close enough. Failed move, fast move. So what are the things that we look for on a failed move? Well, it has to break a very key level. It can only go down a little bit or up a little bit on a fast or failed breakout. So this is just a little bit here. So if this doesn't find really any resistance, if it can get above this area and settle in, basically find support at this point, finding a new short-term resistance area, basically back to where it was, and that area is in here. Then you're looking at the signs of that failed breakdown, and when you see such an event take place, it's not a surprise if you have a fast move to the opposite direction. Of course, opposite of down is up. As far as Litecoin is concerned, if this was a bottom area, it's safe to say that that was a key support area. For we can see it hit it on 3 different occasions, one right after the other here. Hit it twice. And why I know it hit it twice is because it at least came back up to this point. So it had a good rally, came back to it again, succeeded. Had another good rally, came back up to it, succeeded. Came back higher, failed at this point. But if it's going to work out where it doesn't go down any further and it starts to make the move higher, same thing, I would need to see it get above the neckline and then trade within the areas at which it came from. And for what it's worth, I would have to say the deep support up to 168, so the range of 110 to 165 or so. If it enters it quickly and it can hold above that and at least resist at least around over 130 and hold 110, then that would be setting up the failed breakdown status or situation or pattern. Pattern's a good word for this coin. And that finishes off within NEO against the US fiat currency. Its highs at the end of last year, start of this year, and all the markets top late December, early January. About a couple hundred almost. Now it's at 30. So it's lost 7 times its value. And we can see it's underperformed markets like Bitcoin, because when it came down to this February low, and then it came again, well, this one made a lower low, where Bitcoin made a matching low. And then Bitcoin again making a matching low in here, where this again made that of a lower low, thus giving back all of its gains since the December rally. Of course, I can see more of this, I think, if I use the Bittrex data. And when you put it into perspective within this, and it says it's calculated by TradingView, which means they just use mathematics based on what the Bitcoin price against this price on Bitcoin and Bitcoin's price against the dollar. Either way, we can still see that big 7x decline. When we look at this on a longer term time frame, this is what we're coming up with. So it's had monstrous volatility. And to put into perspective, a year and a quarter ago, this was 11 cents, trading firmly at about 13. So you go from 1/7 of $1 to $883. Oh, that's a gain of your typical 1200x-ish. And that's not typical. I say that sarcastically. But what we do know is that it has the room for monster volatility. Just quickly going over Fibonacci, I see a lot of support that was played at 10 cents. And of course, resistance at about 190. So we'll put in 10 cents here and 19,000 cents here. So $32 represented the 23.6% down move. That's where we're at now. It's had a decent pierce above this. And based on the Fibonacci normality, you usually expect a bounce from this point, whether it's a bottom bounce or just a bear market rally, and usually to the key level of around probably about $50. Well, that would be to determined. If this level that is supposed to be support is not, you can expect a fast move to the next level, as mentioned earlier in this video as well. And that next level would be a 38.2% down move, or the 61.8 number says $10.62, and it usually pierces extra, so we'll say 10 even would be the directionary move. And again, I think if Bitcoin goes to 3,000, this is going to go to $10. And thus, the NEO against Bitcoin will also continue its bear market as well. For losing 3x versus 2x, well, that should go without saying. But let's put this into perspective. If these were to match up to previous high, this would have to go up like 6x, 6 times higher. And Bitcoin, its high was 20,000, it's at 6. So it would have to go like 3 1/3 times higher. So with a lot of these altcoins, this one most certainly being no exception, this is most certainly a more higher volatile one compared to a lot of the other cryptos and alternate coins, that you can have a lot of monstrous gains. And if you're trying to take a chance, play the high volatile games, these types of coins or codes, ticker symbols, should do the trick very nicely. Thank you for tuning in to this video, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.